Hi, I'm Olga and welcome to my kitchen. Today we're going to be making grain-free pumpkin bread. This bread is going to be also low in carbs and high in protein. And we're going to be using very simple ingredients. We're going to use a pumpkin puree from a can and pumpkin spice. But this bread is going to be savory, not sweet, even though you do have an option to make it sweet as well. I have been on a grain-free diet for way over a decade of my life, probably close to 14 years already, for health reasons. And since then, I've been making a lot of recipes to fit into my diet with the ingredients that my body can tolerate. Pumpkin bread is one of the breads that I came up with many years ago with this recipe. It's very simple and it's very satisfying. When I'm eating this bread, I feel like I'm in the season, I'm included in the season without hurting myself. Let's see how I'm making this bread. It's very simple, I promise you. For this recipe, you're going to need, of course, pumpkin. We're gonna use canned pumpkin because it's the fastest and the easiest. You're gonna need 1 cup of pumpkin puree if you're gonna be cooking it yourself. And we need pumpkin pie spices. You can use a blend of spices, or you can just use cinnamon and whatever else you want to use there. For the protein, in the recipe we need cottage cheese and 5 eggs. We need salt. Any salt will work on this recipe. Then we need the flours. We're gonna use almond flour as always, and arrowroot flour. This is the starch. Then we're gonna need for the bread to rise, we can use baking powder, but because it contains corn flour in that and corn starch, I don't use it. I use baking soda and cream of tartar. And for garnish, we're gonna use very fitting pumpkin seeds. And for the equipment, we're going to need an oven. Then we need a 12 by 17 inches cookie sheet covered with parchment paper, because we try to avoid oil, so parchment paper helps for the bread not to stick. We need a mixing bowl with a spatula. We need a hand blender and some measuring cups and spoons. I'm going to preheat the oven to 375 degrees Fahrenheit. It's 190 degrees Celsius. We're going to start this recipe with by breaking eggs. 5 eggs you need, and then we're gonna add cottage cheese. This is a very quick and easy recipe, and it's gonna smell so good in your house once you're baking it. You're gonna love it. All right, 5 eggs. Now we're going to add half a cup of cottage cheese. Cottage cheese is a source of protein. I use low-fat cottage cheese. I've been getting some comments that it doesn't qualify it as keto, which really doesn't matter to me. I'm not trying to do keto. I'm actually trying to do the opposite of keto. But if you are on a keto, this recipe still will be low carb enough, so you can make it a keto recipe, and you can use a full-fat cottage cheese. It's absolutely not gonna change my much in taste and stuff. Next, the pumpkin. We need 1 cup of pumpkin in this recipe. I'm using canned pumpkin. Look how orange and beautiful it is. To save myself some cleanup and stuff, I'm not even gonna bother with the measuring cup. If you're using a canned pumpkin, like a 15-ounce can, just half of the can is gonna be exactly 1 cup. So I'm just gonna scoop half a can here. I try to keep things very simple. I'm gonna use 1/4 teaspoon of pink salt. I have it in the can here, so 1/4 teaspoon should be enough. And next we're gonna add the spices. Pumpkin spice, I'm gonna be generous with it, so I'm gonna use a tablespoon of pumpkin spice. I used the one from Trader Joe's, but I realized that Trader Joe's is not available everywhere. So in the pumpkin spice, we have cinnamon, ginger, lemon peel, nutmeg, cloves, and cardamom. So you can use any of these spices if you have them in the house mixed with cinnamon, or buy a similar blend. So we're going to use a tablespoon of it. And we're going to use a little bit of cinnamon as well. I'll use about half a tablespoon of cinnamon. If you don't like it so spicy, don't use that much spice. It's completely up to you. I like the spices in there. Now we need to add 2 teaspoons of baking powder or 1 teaspoon of baking soda and 1 teaspoon of cream of tartar. All right, baking soda. You're gonna use baking powder 2 teaspoons if that's what you're using. I always mention it that I don't do any grains, and the baking powder, most of them contain cornstarch. As a medium there, my teaspoon is has some cinnamon on it, and that's why I cannot use it. I don't feel good after I'm using it, so I replace it with baking soda. You can put lemon juice to activate baking soda, or even any vinegar, but I use cream of tartar. I really like the way it becomes nice and fluffy because of this combination here. So 1 teaspoon of cream of tartar. Now it's time to blend everything. I literally can put together this bread in under 10 minutes. Obviously, when I'm not cooking for the camera, this bread can be in the oven. So in half an hour, you can have a fully ready new bread for yourself. This is all the ingredients blend in together before we add the flour. You see it started to rise and get fluffy because of the baking soda and cream of tartar activated in here. But this is what it's supposed to look like kind of thick and creamy. Okay, we have only 3 ingredients left to add. So we're gonna start with almond flour. We need 2 cups of almond flour. It has to be blanched almond flour. I buy mine from Costco, but it's available online everywhere. 2 cups of almond flour. Next, we're gonna add half a cup of arrowroot flour. This is a powdery starch, and for me it works well with my gut. Most of the starchy foods do not work for me, but arrowroot, I never noticed any problems with it. Initially, when I started using it, I actually was using it little by little, adding to my recipes, but now I'm quite liberal with it, like half a cup, no problem. The beauty of arrowroot flour is that it's good for your gut because it's the starch that feeds the good gut microbiome. But also when you bake with it, when you bake without using grains, it gives that bready kind of consistency to your baking goods. It makes kind of like a little bit shiny, a little bit crispy. So this is a win-win. And I'm gonna blend everything and the dough will be ready. This is the batter after we added the flour. As you can see, it's still kind of liquidy, not too thick. If you want your bread a little bit thick, sometimes you can add coconut flour, a few tablespoons, but I wanted to keep this recipe really simple, and I want my bread to be kind of moist. So this is what it looks like. I really don't like wasting all these ingredients here. And now we're just gonna lay it on the baking sheet. It is important that you use parchment paper or a silicone mat or some kind of non-stick surface, because otherwise your bread will get stuck to the tray. You can also spray it with any oil. I put a little bit of oil, but I avoid fats as much as I can. So there's still enough fat here from cottage cheese, from the seeds. And now I'm just gonna stretch it with a spatula in the tray thinly. I want to bake it thin. The beauty of making these cookie sheet breads is that you get a very fast cooking bread, whatever you're making, whether it's a dessert or not. And that to me is a big deal. But I also like that I get a lot of crust area. That's what makes it taste more like a bread and not like some kind of omelet or something, when you have this crust area. And that's why I prefer cooking most of my breads on a cookie sheet like this. So I'm trying to stretch it out and even it out as much as I can, because some parts will be thick, which is inevitable anyway. It's going to be in some parts a little bit thicker, a little bit thinner. That's the beauty of it. And the last step, we're gonna put some pumpkin seeds on top. Well, it's a pumpkin bread after all. I feel like adding seeds to the top of my breads make them taste also more like real bread. You can use sesame seeds here. They would be tasting very good here as well. I love it on my breads. But pumpkin seeds, since we're making pumpkin bread, pumpkin seeds are very healthy. They're full of fiber. They're even anti-parasite. This is going to be a savory bread. We did not put any sugar in here, but if you want to add a little bit of stevia in here, it's will make it taste sweeter and make it almost feel like a dessert kind of sweeter bread. Okay, my oven is preheated, and I'm gonna put it in the middle rack for 20 minutes. With all my breads, I usually start with 20 minutes. I know it's a good time for me, but then I may end up adding a little bit of time depending what it looks like. I'm gonna let you know. But if this is the first time you're making any kind of baking project like this, I suggest that you start looking at your bread at about 18 minutes just to be safe, and after that just remember the time that your bread was fully cooked, and then after that you can put the timer for that time. The timer just beeped for 20 minutes, but I want to add another 2 minutes to this bread. You see, like some edges start to get brown, but the middle, I want it to be just a tiny bit more cooked. I just took it out of the oven. It's still burning hot, but you see, I wanted to show you that I want the edges to be extra crispy, but I want also the top to have some browning because it's a very moist bread. I want it to be cooked through well. It's been a few minutes since I took the bread out of the oven. It had a chance to cool down because I had to do some other things. And now the house smells divine. I absolutely love the smell of it, especially now it's the middle of October and we just had a nor'easter. I'm in New York, and for the last 2 days it was pouring rain, windy and cold. And the smell of a pumpkin bread seems to be especially comforting and warming. So definitely a good time for this kind of bread. If you've seen my other videos, and I do a lot of videos about grain-free baking, you know that I usually like to split my cookie sheet breads into 24 pieces. This is how I calculate the nutritional value for them as well. So I'm gonna cut this bread into 24 slices, and pizza cutter works the best for it. But of course you can use a knife. I think if you're using a knife, use a serrated knife. So I'm gonna split it into 4 strips lengthwise and into 6 strips the shorter side, approximately even. It all averages out in the end. Of course, some slices are gonna be a little bit bigger, some will be a little bit smaller. There you go. And let's see, I'm gonna take out this slice. This is what it looks like. Here is a close-up for you. As you can see, I like it to be thin sliced. And you can even still split this bread into half lengthwise and toast it to make it even crispier. I asked ChatGPT to give me a nutrition label for this recipe, and here is what it come up with. So 1/24, 1 slice of this bread, and it's hard to be honest with you to stop at 1 slice once you start eating it, is 103 calories. It has 4.4 grams of protein, 8 grams of total fat. It has 3.7 grams of total carbohydrate, 1.8 grams of dietary fiber. Carbs are 2.1 grams, which makes it a quite low carb bread. This is per 1 slice we're talking about. And it has a lot of vitamin A because of pumpkin that we were using, decent amount of magnesium, potassium, iron, calcium, and that's pretty much it. Pretty good nutritional value. You may be wondering, how do you eat this bread? I normally eat my protein bread for breakfast, but I also use it as in addition to my salad on the side. It's a very quick and easy kind of something to bite on. Then you can also make sandwiches with it. You can slice it in half or put just 2 slices together, which I personally don't like. I like them to be a little bit thinner. I slice it in half and toast the bread a little bit, and then you can add some cheese and cold cuts inside of it. You can put some peanut butter or other nut butter. So you can even put a little bit of jam inside, and that's going to be delicious as well. This tastes delicious. And my dog is already standing on my leg begging for a piece. It tastes moist. I taste the spices. There is just a hint of natural sweetness from the pumpkin here. It's not sweetened, this bread. I like it that way. This way I can eat it with savory foods as well. And I really enjoy the flavor and the texture of it. Let's see if my dog likes it. All right, let's see if Sky likes it. You want some pumpkin bread? She loves my breads. Every time I'm starting to eat any kind of grain-free bread, she's right next to me. She does not come when I'm eating something else, like she will come if I'm eating meat or something, but not salad, right? Delicious? All right, Sky approved it. If you like the idea of making pumpkin bread this way, I really would appreciate if you click like to this video and subscribe to my channel for more living food recipes. And I also wanted to mention that on my channel I already have a few recipes with grain-free baking recipes, and I have a playlist, grain-free baking, where you can find all the recipes there, and I hope you watch them, I hope you like them, I hope you try them. Please comment below if you have any questions. Thank you, bye. I keep leftovers in the airtight container. You see it has a cover in it. You can load them in a Ziploc bag if you want. And I'm going to keep them in the refrigerator. They're going to get a little bit moist in the fridge because there is no flour that would keep it dry like regular bread. So toasting it before eating again is highly recommended. So here I'm having my breakfast. And I'm having my pumpkin bread that I baked yesterday, and I'm having it with yogurt that I make. I have a recipe for this on YouTube already, and my fig jam that I have a recipe for. And here is Skylark. Mama is eating bread. I have to be here, right?